while sitting, while sideways, to put one foot in the stirrup and to lean on the horse and to shoot from there, to spear things going by while laying down on the horse, to ride the horse bareback. All these different aspects of warfare and combat, until by 15 years of age, they sent him into war. His father, Al-Waleed ibn al-Mughira, had called him deathless, Khalid, because he wanted for his name to remain as the greatest warrior of all time. He had been taught to master all the sciences and tactics of warfare. And it's what he specialized in. More than anything else, more than poetry, which he didn't have a particular liking for. More than clothes, which he only was interested in how to wear armor, and he usually wore very light armor. All of these different things, and on top of that, he was the first cousin of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. They shared a similar physical resemblance. They were tall, powerfully built, and muscular. Whereas Omar's great knowledge was based in swordsmanship, Khalid was all great in all departments. As an example of Omar once was sent a letter by someone who stated within the contents of the letter, I understand that you're able to fell trees with a particular sword by one stroke. Send me this sword. So Omar sent him the sword. He received a communique back only weeks later to say, you lie. You sent me this sword to say that you can fell a tree with one blow with the sword, and it took me a number of blows to fell the tree. Omar's reply back was, I sent you the sword, but I did not send you the arm that wields that sword. So Omar was great as a swordsman, but Khalid was a great bowman. He was a great cavalier. He was a great infantryman. He was a great swordsman. He was a great spearman. He was great in all aspects of warfare. The Quraysh would often use him as a mercenary or farm out or shop out his services because he was highly sought after. Any skirmishes or warfare, Khalid bin Al-Waleed would be the number one man that you wanted on your team. He was the best. Who could best him out of all the different Quraysh tribes in just combat and war? He was even an effective wrestler. And he was even effective in hand-to-hand combat. It seemed that everything Khalid touched was gold in terms of any battles he engaged in. But in Khalid's 20s and on up, he heard that there was a man in Mecca preaching against the religion that he grew up with. He didn't know much about the man other than to say that he saw glimpses of him and that he knew of some of his followers. And he was later disturbed to find that his brother Al-Waleed had joined this religion. And so had his first cousin Umar ibn al-Khattab. This annoyed him to no end. But he had not taken a committed position on this man yet. Khalid bin al-Waleed's response was that we shall wait to see what they will do. And on the open frontiers of the battlefield, then we will address things. Well, this man was none other than the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In 622 AD, or the first year after Hijrah, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions successfully moved from Mecca to Medina. The Quraysh did not want to leave things alone as it was, and began to send their soldiers to violate the territories around Medina, to actually invade areas that were considered part of Medina's surrounding area. This eventually led to the great battle of Badr, which took place in Ramadan. The believers were assisted by angels to defeat a much larger army. 314 human believers, with Allah's aid of angels, were able to defeat unbelievers of a much larger army. But the unbelievers were not satisfied after Badr. They believed they could be victorious. They wanted that victory. So they decided to attack again. This would happen in the Battle of Uhud. The Battle of Uhud. And they decided to commission the services of that great soldier of fortune, Khalid bin Al-Waleed. Khalid had told them tactically why they lost the Battle of Badr. He tactically explained to them why they lost in painstaking detail, and told them that if they use his services, they will be victorious. So they commissioned Khalid. Khalid came into the Battle of Uhud as not the head of the battle, because that was Abu Sufyan, the recently crowned new ruler of Mecca. But he came in as one of the generals, not the head over the army. He and his best friend, Ikrimah ibn Abi Jahl, the son of Abu Jahl, broke the infantry into two sets. And what they decided is, in the middle portion of the battle, to bring forward the reinforcements, to encircle the Muslims. They would kill the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and those immediately around him. But what they hadn't counted on is that the Muslims had unveiled archers for this battle. And the archers rained down arrows, making it impossible for the reinforcements led by Khalid and Ikrimah to come out of the back of the army. They could not move because archers were raining down arrows. But then the funny thing happened. And not a funny thing in a humorous sense, but an interesting sense. Because the Battle of Uhud was split into three sections. The first section, the Muslims won easily. It seemed as if that's the end of it. The battle's over. People were retreating and running. And some of the archers said, it's finished now. Let's head down, count up whatever treasure is left over, see what dead have been taken, and enjoy our victory. But 5 of the archers said, no, we were told by the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to stay on this hillock. We are not coming down. But the vast majority, the 45 archers, came down from the mountain. And the arrows that the 5 were launching were nowhere near the rain cloud that the others had been launching before. When this happened, Khalid gave a hand signal to see. When he saw the lightning of the arrows, he gave a hand signal and waved on the troops, and they surged forward. This one individual act resulted in the death of 70 Muslims. It was the second part of the Battle of Uhud. And Khalid's genius, his ability to bring forward those troops and to organize them and to command Ikrimah, brought everything together. So when the Battle of Uhud, Hamza bin Abdul Muttalib, Asadullah, was dead. There was still another Asadullah alive, Ali bin Abi Talib, but the biggest of the Asadullah, he was dead. And countless others died because of a simple mistake that allowed Khalid to bring the troops out. The Muslims eventually recovered to win the third part of the battle. Khalid had fulfilled his mission and received his reward, his wealth that he wanted. After this battle, there were other skirmishes, and then there was the Battle of the Trench. Some of the children of Israel, the Jews,